Welcome to The Global Girlfriend.
Shall we book a flight to El Chalten, Argentina?
Yep. All right, welcome back, everybody. My name is Brianna,
And my name's Morgan.
and we are your hosts for the Global Girlfriend podcast. We are a podcast for women who live abroad or travel extensively, and we get into all of the really fun ins and outs that come with embracing that lifestyle. Today, we have a really, hopefully, uh, eye-opening, mind-opening episode for you all today. We are discussing the concept of open-mindedness and how traveling and living abroad forces us to open our minds and see things from a different perspective. We are going to talk about some moments that we have had where we have had to be open-minded, where our expectations have been challenged. We are going to talk about sort of different contexts that force you to be open-minded when you're traveling and living abroad, and we're just getting real philosophical today. So let's let's get into it. We both believe that travel can be like a gateway drug, basically, to open-mindedness. I think a person who stays in one place all of the time never really has to challenge their beliefs or way of doing things. But I think the second you step outside of the area that you were raised in, all of a sudden, all of these new opportunities and ideas are brought to the forefront of your reality, and you get to face them and hopefully embrace them. And I would say, sort of big things, or maybe the first things that we have experienced through our travels, is like when you enter a different culture, everything is new, right? Food, customs, values, body language, body image. So there's just like so much that goes into it. Um, Morgan, do you have
Yeah.
like a time or a moment or an example or anything of just like how stepping into a new culture kind of makes you go like, oh, wow, that's different?
Oh goodness gracious. Um yeah, I mean, I feel like I've seen that in so many different ways. I'm trying to think. I feel like what I don't know why this one's kind of popping into my head, but I've always been a snail mail lover, and so I love a post office and love sending mail from wherever I'm at all over the
I
world.
love that.
Yeah. Yeah, usually to my grandma and my parents and such. But I feel like one of the things that I'd noticed when I was living in Albania was how different the just kind of the culture was and their systems of doing things. And like there was no, I remember going into the post office in Albania and there was no lines and no, like formality of who goes next, and you kind of just have to be like ready to go. And like I was like, I mean, I have like elbowed old ladies. And so I think that was just, and obviously that was kind of a frustrating situation for me because I do like lines. But it does completely force you to kind of think about like, hey, there's this whole country, whole culture, whole group of people that are existing and functioning and living their lives. And this is how they do it. And like, it totally, like, I think positive, negative completely makes you confront like, there are absolutely different ways of living. And sometimes you want to resist it. Like it's hard. I kind of want to resist that because I will love some order and I love some lines. But like in time and like reflecting it, I don't know, it brought me to kind of just soften my heart a little bit and open my mind. And there's just different ways of living.
Totally. And just, yeah, just sort of embracing with it and rolling with it. Like, speaking about, lines, I remember like oftentimes paying for groceries in Albania as well. If I had, four items, but maybe there was an old lady behind me that had three items, the old lady in her mind, I assume, would be like, okay, well, I have less. So, and they'll just cut right in front of you. And then,
Yes, they did that
and
a
like,
lot, huh?
I feel like in North America, we're very much like of, the mentality of if I have a huge cart of groceries and there's a person behind me with a few items, I'll let them go first. But in Albania, I really felt like it was just like a free for all. And you're totally right. At first, you're like, what is going on? But eventually, you just kind of like lean into it and you're like, man, well, all right, that's how it goes.
You're like, that's just kind of how it goes. Can you, in any of the other places that you lived, can you think of any other stories where you were kind of confronted with, oh, wow, this is different in opening your mind?
Oh my gosh, totally. So I was just thinking about this. So the first time I went to Kenya was, I like can't even do the math on it. It was over 10 years ago now. And so I was in my early 20s, and we are children of the 90s. And I don't know
Hmm.
about you, Morgan, but like I grew up surrounded by and like reading in magazines diet culture, right? And thin was best for a really long time. I think that we've come a long way, especially in the last, 8 to 10 years, in embracing body positivity and that sort of thing. But when I was growing up, body positivity was not a thing. Like skinny was best, and that was it. Like teen
Hmm.
magazines for 11 and 12-year-old girls were like diets and salads and stuff. Like when I think back on it, it was super weird. But at the time, the mindset was like, you are beautiful if you are thin. And I had that mentality in my mind, and that's just what I thought. Um, and anyway, so then I go to East Africa for the first time. And actually, maybe even before that, I had gone to Jamaica about a year before that. And I just saw women with bigger bodies being like fully embraced and told they were
Yeah.
beautiful, and actually women wanting to have more mass on their bodies. And for a product of the 90s diet culture woman, I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. Like
Yeah.
I had never in 22, 23 years of life been of the mindset that having a bigger body was a good thing. And to see
Yeah.
people aspiring to having bigger bodies was like very, very new to me. And like at first I was like, wait, what is going on? And then I loved it. I was like, this is amazing and this is how it should be. And I'm really grateful that especially now in North America we're starting to get more on board with that. But literally it was so shocking coming from diet culture, everyone has to be skinny, to
Hmm.
having a bigger body is the ideal shape.
Is, yeah, like
Shocking. Was
embraced.
shocking to me. I and
Oh,
I
I
I'm
can
really glad I had that
imagine.
experience. Yeah.
Oh, me too, me too. Okay, sorry, real quick, just another like
Mhm.
story on that same kind of topic. Again, in Albania, my burek lady, and burek is a savory pastry, if you're wondering, and it's
Yeah.
phenomenal. Everyone try
So
it.
good.
And my burek lady in Durres, who I went to like every day. Sometimes I got one burek, sometimes I got two bureks. Um, she and I loved it. Okay, so I had some friends visiting, and I had just told them that like, hey, like I was like, oh my gosh, my coffee people and my break people told me that I was like getting bigger, and they're like, what? They said that to you? And I'm like, yes, they said that to me. Like shocked because like again, like in
Yeah.
North America, no one would ever like at the coffee shop comment how you've gained weight,
No.
and they, like people have told me that. And I was like, oh my
Oh,
gosh, and then I was just telling them, I was like, yeah, my Barek lady told me this last time. They're like, no, and I'm like, yes, and I get to my Barek lady. And I was like, hey, I was like, Persian Detia. And then she looks at me, and if you're on YouTube, you'll see my face, and if you're listening on Spotify, she just goes, oh, Morgan, and she puffs up her cheeks and says, oh Morgan, and she like puffed up her cheeks, and I was like, what? And then she was telling me, I was like, you look so beautiful, like you look so beautiful, and me, I'm like shocked because if anyone
oh
told
my
like
god.
ever told me I looked bigger, it's like an insult, but she actually meant it as this compliment. Like I'm looking full, I'm looking beautiful. And like to them it's a sign of like if you're like a little bit bigger, like a sign of like you have, like money and resources and are able to
You're healthy.
eat.
You're eating well. Yeah.
And I just think that I remember being so shocked and also like baffled and thought it was hilarious. But that's just another thing where yeah, like we're used to it being celebrate, like not, being skinny is mostly what is celebrated, but like it's not usually as celebrated. And so that was another example of that.
Yeah, different cultures really embrace weight very differently, and I think we have a lot to learn from it, to be honest.
Yeah.
What are some like little small things that are maybe like cultural practices or just like small things that you have noticed from other cultures that you have like loved embracing that we don't do in North America?
Oh, yes. Well, number one, and I feel like this was like a part of my soul, but being a part of this culture really it brought it up. Siestas in Spain. Like I feel like it is a part of their lifestyle, a part of their culture. Um I mean, every day after work, I would take like an hour siesta, maybe two, and then I would wake up, still have time and to do whatever, and then still
Yeah.
have time to meet people out for dinner and drinks. And so I think that I love the siesta culture. I think that rest and, taking a moment, taking a break, and really embracing that really sets you up for a beautiful life. And it doesn't always just have to be go, go, go. Okay.
I yeah,
Yeah.
no. I love that. Something that I have really loved, something I've really loved living in Bali is that most of the people in Bali practice Balinese Hinduism. And I am not Hindu, but the sort of the spirituality, there's a lot of visual representation of the culture everywhere you go. And something that I just absolutely love is how connected the Balinese are to giving offerings and giving thanks for things. So basically, 3 times a day, Balinese Hindus make these little baskets of offerings, and it's all of the things that they want to call in because it's a very the religion is rooted in karma. And so these little baskets will have things like flowers and maybe some candies and just like maybe a few coins if they want to call in money. My personal favorite thing to see is cigarettes in the offering baskets.
Take these.
Here you go, gods. Would you like a dart? But anyway, what I love about that is that the Balinese actually take time 3 times a day to give thanks for what they have, to call in what they want, and it's not like a huge, big hour-long thing. It's just a few minutes, a small offering, and you see it sort of everywhere. Like we had a surf instructor once who we went out, we did our surf lesson, we came back, and we wanted to pay for the lesson, but very quickly, as soon as we got back from the water, he did a little blessing for his shop on the beach, and then we went to pay. And I feel like some people might be like, oh my gosh, like more praying, whatever. Like some people might be like, and I would hope not, but like it does take time, right? And instead of being like, oh, this is strange or this is unfamiliar, I love it. I'm like, yes, please bless the boat before we cross the river. I would love that.
Yeah.
um, or like my neighbors are Balinese and they're really, really kind. Like sometimes when I got a new scooter, they came over and they blessed my scooter. And I was like, this is amazing. Like I actually feel so much more safe now that my
Yeah,
scooter
no,
has been blessed.
absolutely.
So yeah, just taking that few like small, even though it's not my religion, I just feel like it's a really wonderful part of life that I've gotten to embrace since being here, and it's just so nice.
Oh my gosh, that is honestly so nice. And one of my random favorite quotes, I don't know why that always stuck with me, is that a thankful heart manifests joy. And I just feel like, that being a part of your life and your culture of just constant blessings and thankfulness, that just manifests this joyful life. That's gorgeous. I love to
Yeah,
hear it.
it's so sweet. I love it so much. So I think maybe next we can segue into work because we're all out here hustling. Um,
Yeah.
Definitely. We've both worked in a couple of different international contexts. And I
Hmm.
think that working internationally opens up your mind in a number of different ways. Working with people from different cultures, I think, really forces you to think about how you communicate and how other people communicate. Um,
Yeah.
and there's this book actually that I love. It's called The Culture Map, and it actually breaks down how different cultures think about things in regards to like time or organization or leadership or that sort of thing. So if you want a good book on how to maybe be more open minded in an international workplace, The Culture Map is a great book. Um, but have you had any experiences, or have we had any experiences where like working internationally has forced us to be more open minded?
Well, yeah, I think absolutely. I think that you're just confronted for sure with different communication styles. And I feel that one thing that's kind of coming to my mind is that a lot of times you're working with people with that English is their second language. And I think that sometimes if you're kind of functioning with your second language or working with your second language,
Hmm.
that you can be a lot more direct. Because,
Yeah.
I feel that some of my experiences working, and obviously everyone's different, so it's hard to say this as a whole, but like there's a lot more like fluffiness and kind of beating around the bush and how you might present things because you don't want to hurt
Hmm.
people's feelings. And so I feel like I've had some I've had experiences with working with people where English was their second language. They're like, this is the way I'm saying it because that's maybe the way that their brain formulated it in English, and it's like pretty direct.
Yeah.
And I think that you've kind of have I've had to get to moments where it's like, not, oh, they're not trying to be offensive, they're not trying to be rude or anything. This is just them saying it the most direct route that might come off as harsh, but it kind of forces you to kind of like be open and realize, okay, well, where are they coming from? What are their intentions? Is this a language thing? Is this, you know, I don't know.
Totally. And I also think that culture plays a big part into that. And of course, you're going to see things through the eyes of your own culture. But I think also,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, in terms of like giving and receiving feedback or giving and receiving directions, I find in an international workplace that um, that's embraced differently by everybody who's in the room. I think, I've had meetings with colleagues or with leaders who are from Eastern Europe, which they love a direct, this is how things are going. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
for me as a North American, I'm like, oh my gosh, are they mad at me? And I've had to realize, like, no, they're not mad. That's just how things function in the workplace here. And
Yeah.
then I have, a colleagues from a few different Asian countries here in Indonesia, and the sort of it they're not as, I guess, receptive to directness. They actually prefer to be quiet, to be sort of that beating around the bush, keeping everything peaceful, no head-on
Yeah.
conversations. And so I think as you work through different international working situations, you really have to get a sense for what are my colleagues' cultural values, communication styles, because I think
Mm-hmm.
things can get messy if you assume everyone is coming to a situation from the same viewpoint. But if you
Yeah,
actually
for
take a
sure.
step back and just realize, like, nope, culture and communication is different everywhere. So, like, let's find a way to work this out together.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I think that, balance in everything, I think that there is a balance to consider of respecting these cultural norms and communication styles, but also make sure you know what your values are and what your boundaries are. Because I also think it's important to stand up for those things. And I think kind of how we've mentioned, just, some cultures are a little bit more like no confrontation, and some
Yeah.
also are more like direct. And I've had experiences where there's been some super direct um, conversations in the work world, um, and I do think that culture is a little bit direct, but also I think that um, it was a little unethical on how it went about. So I think you remember that day, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. That was a rough day. But you're
I
right. You're
I
totally right.
I texted Brianna like crying, and I had to go chat with her after. But yeah, like, but I think even in that situation, it's like, okay, I can consider how, okay, maybe the way these people do business or communicate things is harsh, and I can understand that and respect that,
Mhm.
but also like, hey, there's some ethics and my boundaries that were crossed, and I need to stand up for those things. So I think it's good to really know kind of where you're at.
Totally. Yeah, you couldn't have said it better. And I think there's also a lot of opportunities when you're working in a diverse international workplace to find moments of like connection or to plan sort of shared activities that really expose everyone to everyone's culture. Something that
Mm-hmm.
I really love working in international schools is, we'll do an international day once a year where
Oh
everyone
yeah.
brings food from their culture and does dances and songs and wears traditional clothing. And I think that when you're working in an international workplace, some of the best things you can do is just provide people with the opportunity to share more about where they're coming from. Because I think once we share more about ourselves and where we're coming from and what we value, it just really opens the door for more connection and understanding.
Oh, absolutely. And there's nothing like food as well to just bring people together.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm kind of hungry, so I'm just like thinking about food as
Oh,
well.
me too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Okay. Oh, wait, do you have something else to say about that?
Nope.
No. Okay. Okay, so I guess just kind of with some reflecting as always. So what would you say that open-mindedness has come to mean to you now after years of traveling and living abroad?
I think that open-mindedness has actually become almost a core value of mine now. I think before I lived abroad and before I traveled, I never really thought about being open-minded, and I think that now that I have been exposed to so many different things and ways of doing things, it is actually a core value of mine, and I find that I do check in with myself when I'm feeling moments of resistance to be like, are you being open-minded right now? Could you be more open-minded? Like, I do ask myself this quite a lot. And I think that being open minded to me also just means that, I'm always being curious. I'm always asking questions. I'm always trying to understand things. I don't have to agree with everything. But
Yeah.
I do think I just have to be open to learning more. And it's one of the things that I love so much about this lifestyle. So that's what it means to me. What does it mean to you?
Oh yeah. Oh, you put that so well. I really resonate with how you articulated that. I think for me, agreeing with I like the words you said that it has become a core value as well. I think that understanding and connecting with people has been something that's always been important to me, and I think that through my experiences of getting out of my bubble. And I know we mentioned this at the beginning, out of your bubble,
Mhm.
out of your context, like putting yourself in a place where you're uncomfortable, where things are different, um, is so important. And it has just completely forced me to embrace open-mindedness. And it is something, and it's a little bit different in my current life, being back in Fort Worth and, um, it's interesting having all this experience around the world and like
Mhm.
constantly like stimulated and observing and just my mind opened and blown.
Yeah. Yeah.
And bringing all that into my life here where I still think about open-mindedness all the time, but being in a place where it's what where I'm from, but and being back in it, it's just I don't know if I'm explaining this well. It's still something I think of open-mindedness every day, but it just looks different.
Totally. And I mean, I think the gift of being open minded and all of the knowledge that you acquire, that's what I love about it as well, is you take that with you everywhere you go. And it forces you to start seeing similarities and see differences in between all of the places that you are. And I just think that's like a very powerful tool to have in our pockets. Okay, yeah. So I guess as we sort of start to wrap things up, I mean, my sort of like final thoughts, I guess, are just that the more that we travel, I think the more we realize there's still so much we don't know and there's still so much to uncover. And
Yeah.
it can feel overwhelming sometimes to show up in a new place or work with people from a new culture and you feel like you don't understand and you feel like a fish out of water. But I think that if you frame that more as an opportunity for learning, an opportunity for more open mindedness, then
Hmm.
that's a real gift. And I think that the more we keep opening our minds, I think the easier it is to make the world a better place with more understanding. So I've loved having this chat.
Me too. I know it's inspiring me even now. And so yeah, just with what Brianna just said, so say yes to things and really embrace curiosity. Um, I think that is the key, just to be open, to wonder, to observe, and to just respect that there's just different ways to live this life all around the world.
To- Totally. And so I guess as we start our classic sign off, what we would love if you are listening, what we'd love if you are listening to this is we want to hear from you. So maybe you can share with us on social media what is maybe a belief or an expectation or a new cultural practice that you've embraced. We want to hear how travel has forced you to be a little bit more open minded. So, Morgan, if people want to share that with us, where can they find us on the internet?
Yes, you can find us on social media at The Global Girlfriend on Instagram and TikTok. And you can visit our lovely little website, theglobalgirlfriend.com, and send a little email there at theglobalgirlfriend@gmail.com.
Amazing. So, thank you guys so much for listening. We hope you stay open minded in all that you do this week, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.